Hello, everybody. Welcome back to youtube.com/Geek Aloud. It's Monday night. It's 8 p.m.-ish. So I'm here with Unky Dunky for the Game Enforcement Agency. Steve, how are you today, my friend?
Mate, I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
Beautiful. And how the show will go, everybody. We start off with game interrogation and deliberation. Steve and I will just go through the games we've been playing lately, give you our thoughts on them. Then we have the world-famous standoff. Who's the standoff this week? Stick around, you'll find out. We'll follow that up with some news. And then, of course, there's always the audience interaction part of the show. If at any point during the show you feel like hitting us up, please do so, and we will address it there right at the end. With all that said, let's start, shall we, with, I've got a button here to press somewhere. Oh, game notes. Game notes. Steve, first up this week, we have Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It's finally out, sir. Have you seen it?
I have, mate. I've downloaded the trilogy. Probably the first, I actually played number 3 first and then Vice City and then went into San Andreas, but I've probably spent most of my time with San Andreas so far, if I have to say, on those ones. What are your thoughts straight away loading it up for the first time? Nostalgia hit or what?
Oh, big time nostalgia hit for me. I've been pretty surprised. People have been giving this a fair rub on the internet saying it's not a very good port and etc. But I got to say, for my money, I spent hundreds of hours in all these games back in the day, and they all look great to me. Like, this is the best I've ever seen any of them running. Now, granted, they don't hold up. Like, if you try to compare them to Grand Theft Auto 5, for example, no, they're not going to stand up to that. But this is by far the best versions of these games that are over 10 years old at this point. Like, I'm not sure what people were expecting, but I've been very impressed with what I've been playing.
I was going to say, me too. The graphics, they're quite sharp. You got a lot of new lighting and stuff there, which at certain times the game can look really good. My main issue with it is mainly performance. I'm struggling to see why games that are this old that have been up-res can't hold that firm 60 frames per second.
I agree, Steve. That 60 frames per second is very unfortunate. But that being said, I don't know if you remember playing the old ones, but they were lucky to hit 20 frames per second sometimes, man. So even when this struggles, it still shines all over the originals.
That's right. And can I just mention, it's probably more the first one in Vice City, but can I mention that this is probably the worst rain effect I've ever seen in a video game? You can't see anything.
Now, that is fair criticism. That is 100% fair criticism. That rain a bit too intense.
Like, San Andreas does it okay. They've sort of toned it down. I don't know why they just couldn't implement that rain into the other ones for some reason. There's probably some reason for it. But when that rain comes down, my God, I feel like I'm having like some kind of dizzy spell, a headache thing going on because I can't see what's going on in front of me. But
100%, man. That is a wide-reaching criticism. Oh, what I should note to everyone on the channel is if you've yet to play San Andreas, I just uploaded today the way I like to start my San Andreas runs, which is flying straight to the casino and getting over $1 million and then going and starting the second mission of the game, I suppose.
Now, have you played any of the other ones yet? Or just San Andreas?
No, the only thing I've done, man, is put about 2 hours into San Andreas, about an hour on Xbox and about an hour on PlayStation to set up my money glitch. So both of them are ready to go. Save files ready, but no, I haven't actually sort of delved back into the main campaign yet.
Nice. Well, I was saying to you just before we went live, how frustrating some of these missions can be. I'll tell you a little story about Vice City. I was doing a mission at the start, and I died 5 times the exact same way. You've got to pick up. You got this guy sets you up. You got to chase him. You pick up the chips or whatever it is near the start of the game.
Yes.
And then the cops. You get a 2-star rating. The cops chase you 5 times in a row. I shit you not. I'm coming over a bridge. I get poleaxed by police. I end up in the river and die 5 times in a row. I'm like, I almost got past the point of being angry and literally just started laughing to myself because I'm like, this is ridiculous. There was times where I'm like, I'm going to go slowly over the bridge this time. There's no cops. Out of nowhere, they just appear and careen into me. I'm like, I'll try a different car. Did that work? No. Next time, I'll go do it again. I get past the river, finally a different car. I'm coming towards the final checkpoint to drop it off. I hit a tree and my car explodes. You are kidding me. So everyone, I did eventually get it on about my 10th try, but I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, they still haven't quite fixed the checkpointing. I know they've added some kind of checkpoints mid-mission, but it's still rage-inducing about sometimes how much you have to do in a mission if you die.
Yes. It is also good, though. Some of my complaints that I have about more modern video games are put it back into perspective when you play some of these old games. You're like, oh, the navigation isn't that bad in new games.
That's right. It's so true. It's so true. And I can't remember what they were. I'm not sure if you had like a line on the map and you could set waypoints. Could you do that in the originals or not?
Yeah, you could always set waypoints. Yeah, just one
Okay.
point, and it did that auto route thing, the yellow line up the street.
Yep. Okay. That's good to know. But yeah, and I'm still having fun with it. The nostalgia hit is definitely there, which is probably what's getting me through the games. And it does
Yes.
look quite pretty. I just wish they'd firm up that frame rate just a tad, which I think we'll get a few more patches. I think this game was probably rushed out a little bit. Although I was surprised when they did announce the date for it, thinking it was going to come out before the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, this was the ace up their sleeve, wasn't it? This was in case Thingo got pushed. And it's
which
totally,
it did, yeah. So the next gen version
Online.
of G.E.A. 5, so G.E.A. 5 next gen editions were supposed to be out. I think November, December, weren't they initially?
That's true. Yes. Yep. But then, sorry, perfect. Here we go. Okay, so that's it for GTA. I am loving it, but yet to really sink my teeth into it. What I have sunk my teeth into is Battlefield 2042. Steve, I finally went hands-on. Now, this was through Game Pass. Yes, if you've got Game Pass out there, you've got the 10-hour early preview thing through the EA Play part of Game Pass. So you yourself can be playing Battlefield this evening if you wish.
Now, does this give you, so you got Game Pass obviously because EA played, so once you download the whole game, is that correct?
That's right, you get the full game at downloads, and then their thinking from a marketing standpoint is you've already paid for it, so you'll just give them the money to keep it.
Okay, so what happened? Have you finished your 10 hours with it yet? And have you seen what happens after that 10 hours or not?
I think I've put about 4 hours in, maybe a little under. But no, I haven't seen what happens. I would assume a full screen graphic of, that's the end of your trial, but I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, okay. Now the 10 hours, is that 10 hours playing the game or is that 10 hours once it's installed? How does it work?
Yeah, 10 hours once it's booted up. Now it should, in thery, pause when you suspend the game, but I'm not risking it. I'm manually hitting the options button and quitting the software when I'm done. But I got to say, man, the early reports of this being a dodgy beta, there's a little bit of jank, sure, but like what game this year hasn't had a bit more than usual? But I got to say, this is Battlefield being Battlefield. This is such a Battlefield game. I was concerned after the comments about the beta not being pulled off very well, but I've read the same comments about the games that stands today that I've played, and I don't know what people are complaining about. Like, there's a few little janky bits, but I'm not seeing anything that's devastating to a score,
Yeah, okay. Which mode were you playing? Were you playing, was it 64?
They've doubled it. So it's 64 a team. What's that? Quick maths, 128?
128, yeah, because I heard I heard stories about the PC version not being able to hold pretty decent frame rates when it came to this mode. So did it hold a steady frame rate or what?
I didn't notice a drop in frame rate, but I am hardcore into Battlefield. When I get into Battlefield, white line fever almost.
Yeah, okay.
I can forgive a lot on screen when I'm in the heat of battle. As long as I can still see the enemy, I'm fine.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, how's this compare to, say, Call of Duty Vanguard, which you were playing last week?
Yeah, so as soon as we're finished here today, I'm going to play some more Battlefield 42. I couldn't confidently tell you the next time I'm going to put Vanguard in.
Yeah, gotcha. So I don't need to rush out and get Vanguard, but you reckon maybe some Battlefield?
I love Battlefield, man, but if you're not a diehard Battlefield person, I don't know, because sort of my complaints about Call of Duty, I guess, are kind of a bit similar here in that the big change is the number of players on the maps, and they've done some really cool stuff with the inventory and the wardrobe. They put a lot of the modern Fortnite sort of trappings in. So they've added a lot of that, which is, I guess, standard. But for a Battlefield game, you sort of only had your 4 classes, but you didn't really have individual costumes and all the rest of it beyond that. But this game, it's got 10 levels of customization if you want.
Okay. And how long would a match generally like this would that last you? Because I'm usually like my shorter. Oh, geez, yes. I really like my short games because you got wives and children wanting you to get off. You're in the middle of a game. I could see something like lasting that long being rather frustrating somehow.
Yes, if you're not in the mood for a big battle, don't fire it up. But I got to say, that game is a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get my hands back into it. Here's one for you, Steve, because I've forgotten, and I meant to look it up, but I'll just ask you on air. Why not? Do you have any idea? I've got no idea, haven't seen it, don't know. Is there a single-player campaign in Battlefield 42, or is it just the online?
There is not. It is just multi this year round, yeah. So, I mean, that's another reason why I think I'll probably hold off for now, especially given the fact we've got sort of other multiplayer offerings, which we'll talk about later coming up, which is I think I've mentioned previously what I'm going to be playing. Yep, which I've already had hands on with and really enjoyed, but which we might hopefully get a hands on a bit sooner, which we'll also talk about later. But
indeed,
which could potentially steal Battlefield's thunder, considering the game's technically not even out. Even though you've got these trial periods, I think you can pay you $140 for the Ultimate Collector's Edition to get early access now as well.
Yeah, I think aren't we on the cusp of the actual release? Like, doesn't it release
19th.
Tomorrow? Is it the 19th? I thought it was the 12th.
I think it's the 19th, but we'll find that out later. We'll get fact checked by our own games list later anyway. But I think it's the 19th. So
no, 19th. Sorry, you're completely correct, mate. I don't know what I was thinking about. Yes, no, 19th. You're right.
I just find it funny these day and age where games have a release date yet everyone's already playing them and reviewing them because your streamers and all that get hands on with the game well early. You've got these EA access things, people are playing them. So by the time the 19th comes around, it's almost like the game's old already.
It is, and then you walk in day one and you've got people on the battlefield like level 50 plus, just destroying everyone. All the newbies coming in.
That's right. And you've also got the servers struggling because you've also got now an influx of new players that are playing the game.
That's a good point. I should note, it's just I've 4 rounds. I'm so confident I've only played 4 rounds, but all 4 of them seamless, no issues with the online servers or anything. Just bang, straight in.
Good.
Awesome.
Well, you'd like to think if they're solely just focused on the multiplayer this time around, that stuff should hopefully be rock solid by launch / pre-launch. But
you'd hope.
Yeah, so. I think they're setting themselves up for a game they can just keep building on now, hopefully. So this game will only probably get better with age.
And it's the really wild thing about this game is it's redone a bunch of the old maps. And it's just crazy to suddenly realize that you know exactly where you are. Like I've been playing on a map for, 3 or 4 minutes and then something will click and I'll be like, oh, I know exactly where I am, from 10 years ago. A memory comes flooding back and the whole map's in your head, it's great.
That's amazing. Now, what's your favorite Battlefield going back? A little bit of the history, because I'll tell you mine's probably the Bad Company series in terms of single player and multiplayer. That's probably where I sunk most of my teeth into.
Bad Company definitely gets it for the single player story, no question. Multiplayer was probably Battlefield 2 on PC and then Battlefield 4. What was that, last gen? I want to say PS4 got most of my time, I think. But I'm such a Battlefield fan and this is ticking all my boxes, so I love it.
Very good, very good.
Now, the other thing on Game Pass from this week was Forza 5 Horizon. Forza Horizon 5, I should be clear, is finally here. I've only gone maybe an hour into it, Steve. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think I was about an hour last week into it, or not even. I've put probably maybe I want to say 10 plus hours into it now, and I'm loving that game. It's for a player who's not usually into your racing games and stuff. This thing's got its teeth into me. I'm enjoying it thoroughly. It's just playing an adventure game with cars, essentially.
Yeah, well, for me, this is the one where you were just talking about wife, kids, other life issues, don't have time to game. This is what I love Forza Horizon 5 for, and suspend mode on the Xbox. There is nothing better than just flick into Forza and you're straight into it. You can peel off a race and be done in 5 minutes and turn it off again. It's great.
Oh, it's awesome. There's so much things on the map you can actually go to. You just be driving around having fun and you'll come across something to do. You tick on it and the dirt racing's really good. The street race, everything they try and do, they do at 10 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. Like the handling of cars is really good. Just everything about this game is just so polished.
I agree completely.
These guys know what they're doing.
I've got no negative feedback for Forza Horizon 5. They are doing exactly what they say they're going to do and they have delivered in droves. The game is great. If you like arcade racing games, this game is definitely for you.
And now one thing I have to say as well, in terms of you got the rewind feature, you press Y if you stuff up, you reverse.
I never use it, but yeah, keep going.
See, I do, only if I'm, running a perfect race and I just somehow make some mistake and I still want to win that race, because I don't think it actually penalises you for doing it.
No, I believe the first year they had it was the first Forza Horizon, there was a negative consequence for using it. I'm failing to remember what it was now. It might have been a score bump or something.
Possibly,
There was an achievement for it. That's right. And then everyone complained and they never did it again.
Gotcha. So the difference between this and something like Riders Republic being the fact that it's always online as well, but if Riders Republic, if you use that rewind feature, everyone still keeps racing without you, so you still get penalised for it.
Sure.
I kind of prefer the Forza thing in terms of jump in, actually just have fun and not really worry about it. because I find myself not really wanting to use that feature in Rise Republic, which can be frustrating. You'd be running a perfect race, and then you just make one tiny mistake, and using the rewind feature, everyone goes past you. You're not going to win that race anyway, so you may as well just restart, which can be frustrating after 3 laps of something, and then all of a sudden you've lost the race. But
and with the cops driving out of nowhere and knocking you off the bridge.
Yes. I've still got PTSD. It just happened to me today. But even just watching your footage here, like, I came home from watching the new James Bond movie just the other night, and I don't want to spoil it, but that's probably one of the best Bond movies I've ever seen. Anyway.
Oh my God, I love Bond and I want to see it.
It goes there, but I came home and I'd already unlocked 2 of the Aston Martins from the movie, so I just jumped straight into it, straight into the old school. I had the old school James Bond Aston Martin. I'm riding around in that. And even though one of the newer ones they show in the movie, I'm like, this is what I need. This is what I need. Perfect.
I love it. I love it. Any other thoughts, mate, or on sort of that's it for Forza 5 for me? I love it.
The only thought about Forza 5 is it's more of an Xbox thing, and why wouldn't you have Game Pass at the moment? It's just ridiculous that a game of this quality is essentially free if you've got Game Pass.
Yes, indeed. It sure is. And there's some black. I don't like the black. So that's it for Forza. It's great. If you're into it, definitely get into it. Now, Steve, this one's almost getting its own recurring segment here. The 4th interrogation of the evening is for unpacking.
Hey, have you had a crack at it now?
We went hands-on in this house, and I got to say, Steve, my oldest child absolutely loves this game, and he can't thank you enough for recommending it.
There you go. Look at this. I'm just going to mention 1, 2, 3. We're up to the 4th game on this list, and every single one of them you can get on Game Pass.
Oh, wow. That's a great point, man. I hadn't even considered it. That's amazing.
Yes, tell me about your unpacking experience. I was obviously very positive on it last week, but obviously you've had a crack at it now.
I got to say, man, for a small game that's just designed to relax through, you can totally hit that flow state. I get it. You know, you can zone out, the world's gone, it's you unpacking. You can absolutely get into that flow state with this game, no question. Not really a game for me. I prefer a bit more going on. I don't think I'll be firing it up that often, but certainly my wife and both my boys enjoy the game and they will keep playing it. So it'll certainly live on in this household, even without me.
It's an OCD person's either nightmare or best friend. I don't know.
It is a great game out there. It's included in Game Pass. If you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. It is like nothing else. Like, I couldn't even tell. Like, look at it now. I can't think of any other game that's like this. It's something else. It's definitely worth experiencing. It's free now in Game Pass. And thank you, Steve, for recommending it, mate. Pro tip.
Mate, no stress.
And now, number 5. For the probably 5th week in a row, I want to say we're talking about Guardians. And just quickly from me, I don't have a whole lot to say other than that I've only been able to put in about an hour since last week, so I don't have any really new hot takes on it. Still loving it, but there was so much that came out this week, I didn't really get back to it, other than a few little bits I'd like to pull up now, Steve. But where are you at with it? Have you played any more of the New Game Plus?
I haven't. Obviously, as you said, there's been a lot of things that have come out through this week. So my attention's sort of been placed there. I actually did jump in and play probably another hour or so, my New Game Plus, just to experience the combat and stuff again, which is still just as enjoyable as I've found it the first time through. And just the characters, they're just so good. They're so well acted. And this game, it's definitely in my top 5 for the year at the moment. So we'll have to write possibly another wrap review on this one, but we'll see how that goes.
Oh, definitely, Steve, definitely. Now, I'd like to play for everyone, if I may, my favourite line of the game to date. Now, I should state I'm chapter 11, so I'm getting close to the end now. But favourite line from the game. Are you ready for it, Steve?
Go for it.
Cue the videotape, I guess.
There is nothing you can tell us we do not already know.
Pretty sure I know a few things that even a supercomputer can't know.
Such as?
Well, how to groom the feathers on a G.E.A. warbird, for starters.
Are you still alive?
Because I know how to groom the feathers.
There it is, guys. So if you like writing like that, that lit me up. That's like Guardians is full of that front to back. That's been my favourite line to date, though, Steve.
It was up there for me as well in terms of line delivery. But as you said, there's quite a few lines and different things in this game which just brings a smile to your face and had me lolling a fair bit during my playthrough.
Absolutely. And I did find another section of play. I'll play now. This is available on the channel it's a breakout video, but Steve and I haven't even had a chance to discuss it yet. Steve, did you notice the moment that they started turning it into Returnal? There's like a 40-second section of Guardians of the Galaxy where it just ever so briefly, I feel, turns into Returnal. Did that one light up for you?
God, it does. I didn't put it two and two together at the start, but after watching the video, I was like, "Oh, well, you've got the house, you've got enemies everywhere. You just sort of, unleashing like enemies."
There we go. Sorry, I forgot to cue it. But yeah, you can see here on the video. So that's Returnal. That's the little girl in Returnal. She's playing Returnal. But then, yeah, Quill jumps out the window of the White House, and then notice here. You've had all your team members pulled off you, so you don't have any special abilities that Celine wouldn't have. She's got no teammates. It's just you, your pistols, you're on foot, and you're dodging around. It was exactly like Returnal to me. That 40-odd seconds of gameplay just blew me away. But the icing on the cake, and to me, where they've signed the document and said, yes, this was 100% intentional, we love the game, is this battle ends with them fading up, don't fear the Reaper. Like, hello.
Oh, they did too.
It goes straight into Baby Don't Fear the Reaper. And to me, I'm like, that is 100% them telegraphing. This was meant to be Returnal, that little section.
Oh, I reckon we reach out to developers and find out what their go is with that, because I reckon you might be onto something.
Just the way they battle is absolutely that. Anyway, and then, yes. Anyway, so that's that. And then finally, the only thing I've found, Steve, is the fridge line.
Did you just...
You have closed the refrigerator door. Yeah, I do that sometimes.
I thought I was the only one who ever bothered.
I thought I was the only one.
I observed the tree closing at once.
Oh, there it is. So that's the end. I don't know if they mentioned the fridge again, but that was the story beat payoff I've been waiting for. They finally addressed it, and I was happy to see it. But
it was good. I think as you would think last week we mentioned about the whole, I think I mentioned closing the fridge the whole time, hoping there would be some kind of achievement. I actually was hoping there was like an achievement or a trophy just was going to pop once they had that conversation.
Yeah.
Still didn't get it, but I was still happy that someone mentioned something about it.
Exactly. I thought it was beautiful. Such a well-played thing. Anyway, so that's it. But more Guardians for me, hopefully next week, depending on if there's any big releases. But the sixth and final game note I've got for everyone this week is I've actually been getting into a little bit of Diablo Eternal, which is on smartphones, Androids, if you're in Australia. It's beta testing at the minute. I think if you create an Australian Google account, you can get involved in the beta on an Android phone. And it is exactly, Steve, like playing Diablo 3 on the PS4. Like, it visually, all the bells and whistles from the PS4 version are coming straight off the phone. It's quite impressive. If you like Diablo, it's an enjoyable beta. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I can definitely see myself continuing once it's launched and the full-fledged game. But even in beta state, I'm enjoying the heck out of this game.
Awesome. Yeah, I tried to jump into it when I saw you add it to the docs earlier. I tried to get in, and it was something about the whole BattleNet setting up, and I tried to set up a new account, but then it said that my account already existed, and I tried to sign into that account, and I didn't know the password, send myself an email with the thing, and then that didn't come through straight away. So I'm like, that could be a tomorrow problem.
Yeah, it's certainly not worth jumping through all those hoops for. I wouldn't bother. But I just wanted to report back in and say that this game isn't all that bad. I don't know if you remember when they announced it, but there was hellfire raining down on Twitter for days.
I think most people were expecting a new Diablo, like a proper Diablo sequel to come out. Then they announced this. So I think that's where most of the hatred came from somehow.
I know there was a lot of hatred, and that's why I just wanted to put this in here briefly, just to let everyone know, well, it's here now and you can play it, and it's not that bad at all. If you like Diablo 3, you'll probably enjoy it. But that was it. That's it for the game notes. So now, Steve, it's time for your favourite thing in the world. Stand off.
Oh, stand off.
This week's contenders are, Steve, they are the 6 biomes in Returnal. The question is, which was the best biome?
That's tough. I mean, we don't talk about Returnal much on this channel. So
I know. I had to find a way to slip in some Returnal action. I was worried we were going to miss it.
Now, before we start standoff, I'm just going to quickly just draw attention to the chat and see who's in there before we.
Great idea, Steve.
So we've got a Gaming Raptors in there. Sean Games is in there.
Hey, Gaming Raptor. Hey, Sean Games. How you guys doing? Thank you for joining us. Oh, did I just hit a button? I hope not. Ah. Now, have I lost you there, Steve?
No, I'm here.
Oh, I've got all kinds of weird red lights going up over there. Woo, sorry. Okay, so Biome 1, of course, the overgrown ruins. Very just green and lush, pretty standard. And then, of course, Biome 2 is the Crimson Wastes. Looks a lot like Mars, very dry.
It does. Yeah, it was definitely a different change going from that sort of dark green, bluey hue of the first one straight to this bright red, Marsy looking thing. It was a very nice juxtaposition, I thought, in changing biomes the first time.
I agree completely. I love it. And then I think maybe I might nominate this one now as one we come back to. The Derelict Citadel, Steve. I love this one. This one, to me, really gave you that sense of scale. This is where the game really got the scale in my mind, when you walked around here and felt like a tiny little dwarf on this alien planet with massive structures everywhere.
It really did. And I'm going to say, though, that the number 3 is the reason I almost gave up playing my game of the year. This level.
Was it the drones?
My God.
It was the drones, wasn't it?
Yep, it was the drones. So I'm like, this Derelict Citadel is definitely not getting my win. It's almost my most frustrating biome for the time that I had to spend in this, and the fact that it nearly made me give up the game. I think it's probably going to be my lowest scored level. It looks good, but in terms of frustration levels, this level, it's up there with G.E.A. getting spat off a bridge 5 times in a row.
Well, for me, the old Crimson Wastes just can't win because that's where the platinum was stuck.
No, fair call.
And then, of course, number 4 is the Echoing Ruins, which is the sort of repaint jobbed Biome 1. So it's the same rooms, essentially, just with a different look and feel. This is a lot more green. The first time we saw it was very blue, and then it comes out very green in the Echoing Ruins.
And I reckon this is probably up there as one of my favourites. I just really enjoyed I think it was the fact that you finished Biome 3 and then was chucked into this one. It felt, for some reason, it felt easier. It felt calmer. It was a nicer sort of thing to look at after the yellows and stuff. It was nicer on the eyes. And I don't know, you just sort of felt like you had a handle on the game. You felt badass. You'd just taken out, Biome 3, even though essentially you almost start from scratch. I think you lose your weapons at the start of Biome 3 as well.
It is. I was going to say there's that big story beat at the end of
there is
Biome 3 that leads into this that I understand why you've got warm feelings about it.
Yeah, and in terms of replaying levels, this is probably one of my favourites to sort of replay and run through. I'm not sure why. I think it is the aesthetic. I am sort of partial to sort of jungle sort of things ever since, Uncharted and stuff. I really do like this aesthetic in the game. So it's sort of big vibes for me. So we'll move on to the next one, but this one's sitting pretty high for me.
Cool. And then we have the Fractured Wastes, which was Mars essentially rescun. Level 2, Biome 2. The Crimson Wastes.
Yeah, this again.
All over the desert.
Again, in terms of looks, it looked great being able to sort of change that palette again, go in the snow. But you'll probably back me up on this one. It had probably one of the most frustrating parts of Returnal mechanic, where you had to get the 3 sets of keys in the one run.
Yes.
Even if you got 2 of them and you couldn't just stack them into the door, you needed all 3. And some of those rooms were absolute monster closets, and it felt like they were never going to end. And you could have your best run ever and have it end just like that. So to conquer this one was very satisfying, and I think that's why I might chuck it high, because the sense of satisfaction you get once you actually finish this biome is ridiculous. And the fact you don't actually have to fight a boss per se at the end of it, you just sort of get to jump down and then you go into the next biome. It was sort of something about that was really cool, but the frustration, my gosh, it was there.
It sure was. And then 6th, the one that just had me continually scared was the underwater level, the Abyssal Scar.
Yeah, this, again, very clever level in terms of the way Celine's movements and stuff work underwater that are slightly slower. The way the enemies I don't know if you ever picked up on this, they sort of look like headlight or brake lights in a car in the distance, which relates all back to the whole
Yes.
story of the car under the water. I
Yes,
think it's
yes,
just
yes.
masterfully done as a last level. And
Yep.
again, this level's actually not that hard if you've got the right weapons and stuff. And I really enjoyed running through it. Actually, to get my platinum, I actually had to run that the daily mission on this one, and God, it was hard. But I
Nasty.
just end up just legging it because there's no way I was going to survive trying to kill everything. But it's got a special place in my heart for the fact that I popped the platinum trophy in this level as well. So.
Perfect. Now, you didn't have my pain, did you? Yours actually popped on cue.
Mine did pop on queue. I had all the literally my last trophy I had to get was nothing to do with ciphers. It was all about just passing that daily challenge. So again, I'd probably prefer just to try and find a cipher, provided it works, because that's much easier than running one of those dailies. If you do it at the end of the game, if you run at the start of the game like you did,
Yes, I did it as soon as it became available and did it on level 1. It was very easy.
Yeah, very easy. Whereas I was almost max level trying to do this level, and it was not easy at all. So it took me a few days of frustration of having to wait. And that was the worst thing about it. If I failed, I actually had to wait a day to do it again. So I think
Yes.
3 days. I think it took me before I actually popped it. So it was very satisfying.
Now, you've just said 3 days. Look, here are my stats. We've got them just to refresh everyone's memory. Total of 7 days, 9 hours, 36 minutes. What's that? 661 deaths. Now, Steve, you were fortunate enough, sir, to send me through yours. So now we can share that with them. Oh, that's the wrong one. I jumped the wrong way.
Let's compare the
that. There we go. And now Steve's 3 days, 5 hours, 40, what's that, 9 minutes? I think I need new glasses. And only 84 deaths. Steve, I think maybe you've been playing it wrong, mate. Only 84 deaths. That doesn't check out.
I know, right? Should be dying way more.
Should be dying, significantly more than that.
What? Oh, wow, 661. That looks a lot, doesn't it?
Nah.
That's a whole 580 odd more than me.
You just weren't trying, Steve. What can I say?
Oh, you clearly like the game more than I do if you played it that much longer than I did.
Well, as I was saying about unstacking, you can get into a flow state in that game if the gameplay does it for you, but it didn't do it for me. But Returnal, I can enter that flow state and the gameplay speaks to me, you see. It's ticking all the boxes.
No, so I have to admit, I did jump into Returnal just briefly today to get that shot for you, and I couldn't stop myself from having a bit of a game. And oh god, the gameplay is so fluid, so fun. And I think we talked about DualSense compatibility, and that game is awesome. The way that controller feels in your hand when you're playing, just it's something special.
It really is, man. If you haven't got the theme from the last few shows, we absolutely love Returnal and think everyone should play it. Now, that clearly isn't, but this is news. There we are. Starting, news story 1, Forza Horizon 5 breaks Xbox records. Steve, tell us things.
Well, it looks like it's at it was the biggest sales, 4.5 million people, I think it sold to, and set a launch record for Xbox Game Studios. So that's huge. I don't know if there's been any other Xbox games that have launched day and date this big for Game Pass yet. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I don't think so. I think the biggest one prior to this was Outriders, but I don't even know if that cracked the mill.
No, I don't know if it did. So Xbox is going strength to strength, and I think with all the studios they've brought up, we're going to start to see this trend sort of start to pay off. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, Xbox has no games," but then all of a sudden you've got Forza Horizon 5, which I think it's in the top 2, if not the number 1 ranked game on Metacritic at the moment this year.
Yeah, right. It's stands to reason.
And the fact that it's 4.5 million playing and it's a racing game. Normally, you see these kind of numbers for, your Call of Duties and shooting games and stuff like that, but not for racing games. But the fact that this is doing this is just ridiculous. I'm scared to think in a few weeks' time what Halo might actually do, because I think Halo is probably going to do more than Forza Horizon 5, thinking that its multiplayer is free and the campaign's going to be free on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, and console and PC as well, mate. That's the big one. How many PC players are going to jump in, and just those numbers could be astronomical.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, well done to the guys at what's the developers' names for Forza Horizon 5?
Software?
Playground Games, that's right.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that these guys are making the next Fable game, I cannot wait.
Good things in store there. Great work, everyone at Xbox. Love what you're doing. Then story number 2. Sources tell Video Games Chronicle that Vanguard was Call of Duty's worst UK launch in 14 years. Whoa.
That's big. That's big. And I mean, it sort of speaks one. Like, I don't even have an ink. I don't want to play this game. It's like.
I understand, man. Like, I've got that campaign to get into and obviously get through, and I do want to get through it, but I've got to finish Guardians and Battlefields here, and like, there are so many other games that I want to get to before I go back now to Call of Duty. It's insane.
Oh, wow. It's just ridiculous. Like, to think where Call of Duty's been, like, obviously it's going to, ebb and flow. And I think the next Modern Warfare the numbers will be up there again because it's got the name.
I reckon the next one, they'll turn it around when they get the native PS5, Xbox Series X Warzone out the door. Because isn't that meant to be Q1 next year, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
So maybe Vanguard's a bit lackluster in November, but then maybe sort of Q1, Q2 next year, maybe it gets a second wind, possibly.
Yeah. Like, what is it? Do you think it is the World War II setting that everyone's sort of sick of it and they prefer to use your newer, sort of more futuristic weapons? What do you put it down to?
Well, personally, the maps always call me back. Normally you're playing and you're like, oh, I want to try this or I want to try that. There's something in the map, like the layout, that you want to try, you're thinking about after the gameplay. But this year's had nothing. None of the maps, the maps just didn't hit. The maps didn't hit, so I'm not thinking about them, so I don't want to get back in, It's as simple as that.
Yeah, wow. And it's tough. I mean, they've come out first, and you've got Battlefield sort of in soft release at the moment, about to sort of fully release. You've got Halo coming now. I think, unfortunately, Vanguard might actually be dead on arrival, to be honest.
I reckon you've hit the nail on the head on that one. It's maybe, as we said, maybe down the road they can bring it back, but not a big launch, and I don't see it picking up for Christmas.
No, I don't either. I think you'll get your general COD people will probably pick this up and probably maybe play it for 2 weeks and realise there's better things to play.
Yeah. I don't think the numbers will hold. That's a great point, man. Like, multiplayer in a couple of weeks, it'll maybe start even getting hard to find a match. Who knows?
Who knows?
Halo Infinite's multiplayer surprise launch could be tomorrow. Could be in a few hours, Steve.
Ooh, have you heard this?
It's a rumor that I've seen floating around on the internet today.
Yeah, there's a few rumors floating around that it could be announced at Xbox's event tomorrow morning on the 15th American time, 16th for us. But it could be a big FU to Battlefield and stuff, which I don't know if Big Phil Spencer at Xbox wants to sort of be the man to kill Battlefield, but he has the potential to do it.
Here's my thinking, Steve. I am suspecting that what we're witnessing here today is just a blood in the water moment from marketing. I reckon marketing saw their opportunity. I think the Xbox marketing team saw the low Call of Duty sales numbers and thought, if we pull that, our multiplayer forward a few weeks, we can kill them before they even get a chance to get a second breath in.
That's right. And the thing they've got is this thing is free to play.
Yeah.
That will absolutely kill all competition straight away.
If we wake up tomorrow morning in a world where you can get into the Halo Infinite multiplayer on your Xbox, as of tomorrow morning, I can't imagine what that's going to do for the sales of Call of Duty beyond this weekend. Like, it'll be crazy.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm still in two minds whether it could happen. I'm like, if you just drop that, the servers are going to go ridiculous. Everyone's going to try and download this thing all at once. Whereas at least if you wait for that December 8 launch, people have got time to pre-install, get it all down, it's ready to go. And this could absolutely destroy the infrastructure if they decide to drop it. So I'm thinking maybe we might get a few maps. We might get sort of like a similar thing like the flight program that came out. I don't see the whole multiplayer dropping, 3 weeks early, but I could see us getting something. The fact that these sort of rumors are there, but we'll have to wait and see tomorrow morning and see what happens. But I definitely would be excited. You didn't jump into the flight, did you?
No, I did. My schedule didn't line up with it, so I could never get in. I was allowed to get in. Oh, I think everyone was allowed in at the end, weren't they? But no, I haven't gone hands-on with it at all. Very keen.
Oh, mate, I can tell you, it's probably easily my pick of the big shooters this year, and I think most people that have already gone hands-on with Halo will probably say is the pick for them as well in terms of gameplay and fluidity, and doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the actual game itself in terms of needing to be patched or glitches, whereas people have been sort of talking about, Battlefield's performance on PC. You said it was okay on console, so that's
were a
okay.
Few little bits like there's a funny animation. I didn't include it, but if you're prone against the wall, I can't even remember all the constraints, but prone against a wall, and then you could get there, and your hand that was meant to be like down the assault rifle barrel would jump off to the right, and it would sort of sit there and jitter on and off. So that was a clear bug, but minor. It had no impact on gameplay.
Oh, there you go. And I've just read the article. It looks like it is 5 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on the 16th of November. So bright and early tomorrow morning. I won't be up at that time. I'll tell you right now, red hot tip. But I'll definitely wake up and check out that news. And if we've got any kind of multiplayer Halo action, you bet yourself I will be downloading that as soon as I can.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. Speaking of, if it is released tomorrow, you can bet we'll have the Let's Install up on the channel by the end of the day. I will certainly make sure that one happens. Woo, IGN reports that the GTA Trilogy is back on the Rockstar Games launcher. Now, this is the PC version of the GTA Trilogy. Steve, tell us things.
Yeah, so it actually got pulled from the PC. So it had a pretty rocky launch. And obviously, we mentioned it earlier on in the show that there was a lot of people complaining about the performance issues and stuff with GTA, and it's having a rocky launch and all this stuff. We're just, you and I just happen to be playing something from our childhood days and bringing back all the nostalgia, but everyone was sort of up in arms about this stuff. But you couldn't actually launch the game, I think, if you had it on PC because there was issues with the Rockstar launcher.
Yes.
At start, and then I think Rockstar pulled the game because it had some file in it that people were getting into that had all sort of secret squirrel business in between Rockstar themselves, and it had stuff that had been cut out of the game and all that stuff was launched in there. So I think they've pulled it and then they've put it back without that stuff in there. So good news for the PC gamers out there. I mean, I'm not one of them, but I'm sure there's plenty of people trying to play these things on PC with hopefully slightly better performance than we're currently getting on the next gen consoles. But no, I hope they fix it because I mean these games are special, and I would love to see something that from however many years ago could hit that 60 frames per second when you've got games running at 4K 60 these days, brand new with a lot more bells and whistles than the old GTAs.
That's very true, man. Very true. Good for the PC players. All right, story. This one is on Forbes. The first Avengers Spider-Man trailer shows the exclusive character in action. Now, are you still playing the Avengers, Steve? I don't even have it installed anywhere.
No, so I had the Black Panther stuff. I haven't even finished the Black Panther stuff, and unfortunately, I do have the Avengers on Xbox. So, unfortunately, the Spider-Man content is exclusive to PlayStation anyway.
Do you know? Can you party up with a Spider-Man and see the Spider-Man, or on Xbox would they reskin that Spider-Man as Black Panther?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Avengers has ever had cross-play anyway. So I don't think
I just assumed they did. But you're right. I don't actually know that was
I don't think they do. But watching this trailer, I'm not completely upset that Xbox doesn't have Spider-Man. You need to do yourself a favor, watch it. Like, it's a fun trailer, but it feels like Spider-Man. He's moving very, very slowly for Spider-Man. Let's just say that.
Oh no, really?
He's taken a Zanny and he's just moving, 0.5 speed. He's very clunky in his movement. I don't think because we've been spoilt by Insomniac Spider-Man and seeing the most recent movies where he's very nimble and quick. He does some cool things where he's backflipping and stuff, but it just feels like he's really slow and methodical. It's not Spider-Man. And I don't know. This trailer didn't do much to sort of get me hyped for it. I don't know if the story's going to back it up. They haven't showed any gameplay yet. I'm getting very worried for this Spider-Man content. I think Avengers potentially could be dead on arrival with this Spider-Man content. Like, it's too little too late. They could have released this earlier on and it might have been exciting, but the fact that it's coming well after the fact and Avengers doesn't have the best name for itself.
Have they explained why the delay? Because wasn't it originally meant to be 6 months after launch or something? I believe there was originally a tight window for this Spider-Man content.
There was a tight window for all the DLC content, but it's all slipped and they've rearranged stuff. I think Black Panther was supposed to be first, but then they put the two Hawkeye content things before it, and then Spider-Man was supposed to be earlier in the year, and it's been pushed to now, and it's sort of just come out of nowhere because there was no word on it all. Everyone has it slipped to next year, and I'm pretty worried about it, to be honest. Initially, when I first thought I was going to get them Xbox, I was actually really upset when they announced it for just Sony exclusive. But now, to be honest, I don't care.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but was it the game director from Avengers that we were talking about last year has moved off to another project?
Yeah, I think it was.
So, like, the original game director's not even there driving it anymore. It's life support, I would suggest, for the old Avengers.
It is, but I don't know if you can see some of the stuff in the clip here. Like, if you're watching it, I don't know if it comes across to you, but you just watch it, and he's just moving sort of slower than a Spider-Man would be. He's got a couple of cute lines where he's...
It certainly doesn't look like Insomniac Spider-Man, like the 60 frames, beautifully animated Spider-Man that Insomniac gave us. Doesn't look like that.
No, that's right. I don't mind the look of the suit. The suit's quite cool. They sort of obviously haven't gone with the Insomniac thing. It's got the black spider on the front. He's got a bit of black sort of underneath his boots, which kind of looks more like the more recent movies and stuff. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think this is going to review too well when it comes out somehow. Mark me, I could be wrong. Like, I'm happy to put my hand up and say I was wrong if it's any good. But at the moment, I'm not too psyched.
No, you and I both, mate. I can safely just read a headline on that one in a couple of weeks and move on, I think.
Especially after we've just been treated to Guardians.
Oh, my goodness, how good was Guardians? Now, the final one, as we do every week. It's the new releases coming out this week, as printed up by the Game Informer magazine. I'm calling them a magazine this week.
They are a magazine. They're still a magazine, aren't they?
I
used to have the...
no idea.
I think they must be, surely. I remember we used to sell them at EB Games.
I remember flicking through the magazine back in the day myself. I just haven't
always
seen
had the...
one.
I haven't seen one for a while, but they used to have the good cover stories and good stories. But whether they're just a website now, I wouldn't know.
They clearly are. And the website offers us this week's game releases. The first one, Mono Cage, PC, iOS, Android. I know nothing. Steve?
Not much. I did actually go and have a look at a YouTube video of that game. It actually kind of looks kind of cool. Like, it's sort of a puzzle game where you've got to rotate a square and it's got two different world views of something. You got to lock them together. It actually looks quite interesting. I think it might be a decent little iOS Android game that I might pick up just to have a crack at.
Okay, nice.
The art style looks really nice as well.
Cool. And then we have Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 also coming out on the 16th. I am not a Sherlock Holmes player. Are you, Steve?
No, I'm not a Sherlock Holmes player. I think I jumped into once when it was free on, I don't even know if it was Game Pass. It might have been Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah, something like that, yes.
But no, I do. I like the Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch, the TV show. That was a great show. It's got nothing to do with that. So.
Moving on then. Surviving the Aftermath. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC.
Don't know much about it other than the fact there's apparently a strategy game.
Very good. I love it. And then we have also November 16th, or still November 16th, I should say, the Smurfs, Mission something, something, something.
It's, I read this. I'm like, Villeef. What is Villeef? I think it's like a riff on Smurfs Village, but Villeef, I'm like, that's a bit of a stretch. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Is it something Gargamel's been brewing up, maybe?
Potentially, he's always thereabouts. He's the main villain of the Smurf cinematic universe.
Played by what's his name? The two do voices half the Simpsons in the movie.
He is. It's what's his name?
Oh gosh, I'm blanking. I can picture his face.
Yep, so can I.
Hank Azaria.
That's it. You got it.
Excellent. 1 point for me. And then also November 16, The Wild at Heart coming to PlayStation 4. I believe that's been out for some time on Xbox, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it has. Yep.
I think that it was in Game Pass, I believe, at some point. Not sure if it's still there. Under that, though, Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier, iOS and Android. I've no idea. Just cashing in.
No idea.
Final Fantasy VII name, I guess.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether this is iOS, Android, specific, and it's just a sequel or spin-off to 7, or that it's existed previously. I'm not too sure.
Maybe it's the what was it, Yuffie DLC?
Oh yes, which I still haven't played.
Maybe they've put that on the phones. I got no idea. Then what's that? Tamarin, I'm going to say.
Tamarin, apparently a spiritual successor to Jet Force Gemini, made by the same people.
Oh, okay.
An old Nintendo 64 game made by Rare, I believe.
Look out. Cool. Will you be picking this one up? Are you keen? It's Xbox
No.
exclusive. That makes me wonder if it's Game Pass exclusive.
Well, if it's Game Pass, it's probably going to get installed, let's face it, and then I'll give it 5 minutes. And if it doesn't hold my attention, which it probably won't, then it'll just disappear off my console just as fast as it made it on there.
Indeed. Then Blood Rain 2 revamped.
Now, we've got Blood Rain 2 and Blood Rain revamped. A lot of people have been asking for Blood Rain remakes and stuff. I don't think I actually ever got into Blood Rain back in the day.
I have never played a game, mate. I know nothing.
Third-person action, I think you're a vampire. And you kill people because that's what vampires do. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If it's free, again, we'll pick it up.
Yeah. Keep your eyes out for it. Then we've got Epic Chef.
Definitely not a game made about myself.
That one's November 18. And then XO1, also November 18. That looks like mini golf or some form of golf.
Yeah, I don't know
I have
what
no
this
idea.
is.
Actually, now that I'm looking at it a bit closer, that might be the space. I got no idea.
No idea. But it's coming out November 18th.
Sure is. Also November 18th, Undungeon.
It's
Undoing
better
dungeons.
than Dungeon?
Undungeon, just like ground floor, maybe? I don't know. And then, the big one, Battlefield 2042, also November 19. This one, 2 thumbs up from me. If you're into your Battlefields, I think it's worth it.
November 19, unless you've got Game Pass and EA Play, or you pay a shitload of money and get it early,
yes.
November 19.
That's true, excluding a bunch of people that have already played it. Then Nerf Legends, also November 19th. That one's coming to everything on one day. Nerf Legends, I haven't even heard of it. I could make a guess, though.
Third-person shooter, I think it's got competitive elements as well, but I also read somewhere it might have a campaign as well. Cute little art style and stuff going on to it, so maybe a kid-friendly shooter that isn't Fortnite for your kids to play.
It looks a little bit, just going off the cover artwork, it reminds me of, what is it on Switch? Splatoon. I'm thinking Splatoon looking at this cover.
Gameplay does look very similar to Splatoon, obviously without all the paint and stuff, yes. But very kid-friendly.
Yeah, perfect. And then finally, rounding out this week's list, also November 19, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl. Steve, my question for you on this, why? Now, I've noticed this over the years. I've never asked the question. Why do they always release 2 Pokemon games on the same day? It always seems like a bad idea to me. It seems like they're cutting their potential sales in half.
Because, Troy, I don't think they are cutting their sales in half. I think the thing is they're actually doubling their sales.
Oh, you've got to buy 2 because...
Well, I think essentially the game itself is the same, but you get slightly different Pokemon in each one. So some people will essentially buy both games so they can get all Pokemon. Generally, you'll pick it based on which main Pokemon, which is the one on the front cover that you want, I think is the major Pokemon at the end of the game. I could be completely wrong, but I think it's what it always was. I mean, it looks like this one they've gone, let's put aside a political correctness, but you've got blue for boys, pink for girls, essentially this time around. That's exactly what it looks like to me. So call a spade, shall we?
Yeah, let's.
But, I mean, Pokemon Go, I think these are remakes from, obviously, the old Diamond and Pearl ones, which are some of the most popular Pokemon. So I imagine these are going to sell very, very well for Nintendo somehow.
Yeah, well, Nintendo going from strength to strength all year. Didn't they just break another sales record?
They did. Switches are just selling ridiculously. The OLED's out. Metroid Dread's done, breakout sales as well. So Nintendo just can't do a foot wrong considering they're, essentially behind the 8 ball when it comes to technology, and they're not even putting out 4K 60 consoles, and they just keep selling the bloody things.
That's amazing. Hats off to their marketing department. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
That it does. That rounds out the news for us for the week. So finally, we're down to the last segment, audience interrogation. Steve, I hope you've got the YouTube chat open, mate, and can tell us things.
Oh, mate, I can. There's been a lot of action in the YouTube chat at the moment. So we've got Gaming Raptor and Sean Games in there. We've got Australian Aviation is in there as well.
Hey, Australian Aviation, long time no see. And, of course, the regulars, fellas. How you doing? Thanks for being there.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if we've got any questions in here at all. We've got Australian Aviation saying I think he can't play, or he's had issues with Forza Horizon 5. He paid $150 for the big edition, I think, and he's can't get past the start part.
Oh no!
which is no good. Gaming Raptor says RIP COD Vanguard. I think he's right on the money there.
Yeah.
And he also says LMAO, which is laughing my ass off. G.E.A. Remaster is a disaster. He also says, "Oh, Avengers." It's all negative stuff from Gaming Raptor at the moment, but that's okay because he's right on the money. He's right on the money. He's right on the money. Well, there's no cross-play, so he's vindicated my no cross-play with Avengers there. So
Great.
Gaming Raptor also has just popped up and said, "Yo, Gaming Raptor, what's going on?"
Fantastic.
Troy and Steve from Sean Games, it's his 18th birthday on Thursday. Well, as we live currently, we'll say happy 18th birthday, Sean Games. I hope you have a lovely day.
Happy 18th, Sean. Enjoy. Don't drink too much, mate. Don't make the same mistake I did on my 18th.
Don't make the same mistake I'm making right now. And Troy and Steve, I'm going to see the new James Bond movie tomorrow with my dad. So hyped. Sean Games, let me tell you, you are in for a treat. The movie is long, but it is absolutely... Long? It's close to 3 hours long.
Oh my goodness! Okay,
but it does. I'll tell you right now, it does not feel 3 hours long because the movie is just absolutely brilliant every step of the way.
Fantastic! I cannot wait to see it. I have no plans to see. Like I do want to see it, but I have no plans to get there. At some point, I'll see it.
Thank God cinemas are open for us. But I think let me just quickly scroll to make sure I've missed nothing else in here. Gaming Raptor also says Guardians of the Galaxy is a very met game. Well, I'll have to agree to disagree there, Gaming Raptor.
Yeah, strongly disagree.
But he also says his brother's already likes it and he's beaten it 3 times. So
whoa, his brother likes it. That's for sure.
So wow, yeah. So he's his brother's on the money. His brother knows what good games are all about. Sorry, Gamer Raptor.
And I've only got one other question, and this comes in from a YouTube comment on the Call of Duty install videos. I'll just say it here on the off chance someone sees this and he's wondering. I'm seeing reports, Steve, unconfirmed, but I'm seeing several people report that they're loading up the Vanguard menu, and then when they highlight it, the multiplayer and list, because they didn't include the single player on the disc. Why would you? That'd be insane. People might want to play it offline.
I did see this.
Apparently, in some spots, when people are hitting like square to start downloading their campaign, it's just saying content not available. People have been reporting that for a few days. So I don't know whether it's some specific region or what's going on, but certainly that install video is being lit up by comments of people saying they can't install. So my advice for people to try out there, I don't have the fault, so I can't check it, but what I'd suggest is if you've got a second account, even better if it's set to another region, but try and install it with the second account, maybe. That way, at least you can eliminate, is it a region lock thing?
Wow, just Call of Duty just screwing people over all over again.
Left, right, and center. They never learn. They keep setting a new high watermark for bad disc delivery every year.
Oh, they really, really do.
Oh, they're crazy. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Gaming Enforcement Agency. Steve, thank you as always, my friend.
Mate, it's been my absolute pleasure.
Beautiful work, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you all the viewers out there. Thank you for all the questions. Those of you hanging out in the chat, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you all next week. Remember to keep your eye on the channel. Possibly, maybe, fingers crossed, if Microsoft pull a rabbit out of a hat tomorrow morning, there could be a Let's Install of Halo Infinite up tomorrow. If they announce it, we'll be all over it. Steve, enjoy, mate. I'm sure I'll see you online at some point.
You absolutely will, my friend.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Like it, subscribe it. You'll never miss it. Oh, that was luck. Hey, that's something. I love everything about it. Ooh.
Fire splash!
Old Uncle Donkey.
Donkey.